The International Criminal Court, ICC, just launched an arrest warrant against the Russian President Vladimir Putin. What does that mean? Well, this simply means to say that all the leaders around the world, they should think twice before shaking their hands with Vladimir Putin.
Very simply, there's an international obligation now under international law that any of the signatories to the Rome Statute, and that's 123 different countries, that should President Putin set foot there, then they would have an obligation to hold him to account to the crimes or extradite him to The Hague to face the ICC charges right there in The Hague in person. So President Putin's world, just his physical world, just got a whole lot smaller. This is a man who likes his position as a leader of one of the most powerful nations in the world. He is a leader of a nation that sits, of course, is one of the 5 permanent members at the UN Security Council, is a leader of a G20 nation. He likes being able to go to New York and being able to speak to the UN Security Council. He likes to be able to go to the G20 meetings around the world and meet with other leaders and put his points of view across. That's going to be limited. Now, he has a G20 meeting, leaders meeting, scheduled for September in India this year. India is not a signatory to the Rome Statute, is not a member of the ICC, so is not in the same way obliged to arrest him. But it's going to raise a question for future meetings. He's unlikely to come to any European capital, for example. This is going to hurt Putin's self-image of how he portrays himself globally and as how he's able to portray himself at home. And I think all of this contributes to the message that the international community is trying to send him, that they will support Ukraine to the hilt to stop Putin in his tracks and in his aims in Ukraine.
The world is watching to get to see what would be the position of South Africa, as we all know that South Africa, they are in the partnership with Russia for so many years, and at the moment they are all members of a BRICS. So, and South Africa at the moment, they will be the one hosting this British summit in this year. And the world, they are expecting to see the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, being part of the 5 presidents that will attend this summit in South Africa. Now, they want to know, will South Africa have to deliver the president of Russia to be arrested by this International Criminal Court, ICC, yes or no? And this had raised a couple of questions in different media. Today, the president of EFF, JULIUS Malema, was addressing his pressers, and one of these questions came out. They have to ask him to give his point of view on what will South Africa have to do the day when Vladimir Putin will have to step inside South Africa. Here's what the president of EFF had said.
ICC, Putin is welcomed here. And no one is going to arrest Putin. If needs be, we'll go and fetch Putin from the airport to his meeting. He will finish all his meetings. We'll take him back to the airport. We're not going to be told by these hypocrites of the International Criminal Court who know the real violators of human rights, who know the murderers of this world. That former Prime Minister of Tony Blair admitted that they made a horrible mistake when it comes to Saddam Hussein. They've not been charged today. Bush is still there. They've not been charged till to date. And then Obama killed Gaddafi. And then nothing has happened. We're here today with Libya being destroyed and unable to recover because of America. We know very well that where NATO gets involved, those are terrorists. We know very well where the US says we're going in to install peace. That place will never know peace as long as America has visited that place. So we don't want ICC's hypocrisy to apply here in our country. President Putin is welcomed. We know our friends. We know the people who liberated us. We know the people who supported us. In Kuto Konaval, The weapons that were used in Kutukonaval that led to the liberation of South Africa were coming from Russia. Russia supplied us with weapons in Kutukonaval. Cuba supplied us with soldiers. MK was drunk. Cuba brought the soldiers. Russia brought the armaments. We were supposed to be the ones that are being complimented and supported by these other countries who were found wanting. Can you imagine that terrorist that America killed, Osama bin Laden? His organization being declared a terrorist organization, and then he stays in Washington. How do you reconcile the two? That the British government says the ANC, it's a terrorist organization. Its president and his family and children stay in London and they go to schools in London. Children of Osama bin Laden going to school in Washington. How do you reconcile that? So we shouldn't be told nonsense by people who know nothing about mass mobilization. They don't have a history of mass mobilization.
The message is loud and clear. I mean, you must be a deaf to not understand what the president of EFF have just get to say here. Guys, he spoke about some few points which would like to discuss more about it. But I want to play you the second video. This video, we need to get also the point of view, because Julius Malema just represents the opposition. And the opposition we're talking about here, it is only a black opposition that get to have this kind of language. A white opposition, I mean DA, that they don't even comment much about this. That is another sign of you guys get to understand who saved the open eye mask and who's saving the people of South Africa. Because the same language that the EFF they are having right now, this should be the same language that the DA they're supposed to be having. But go to them and ask them the same question. What should the South Africa government do the day Vladimir Putin will step inside this country? Go and get their answer and compare to the one of the EFF. Trust me, you will be surprised that they're not going to have the same language. They'll be having different point of view. And you'll judge for yourself to have an idea who's indeed supporting Russia and not. So the second video which I want to play for you is the one come with the answer which the ruling party, or should I say the government, because if you are a ruling party, which means you are governing, the ruling party, ANC, what they have to say when this same question was put to them. That was yesterday. The Secretary General of the ANC, Fikile Mbalula, they asked him the same question. Here's what he said about Russia and the arrest warrant that they had put against the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin.
ICC warrant of arrest will deal with these matters. Government is dealing with these issues, and suffice to say we will not comment for now on those particular matters. Russia, Ukraine, US ambassador, we have responded to the question before. South Africa have got strong ties with the United States in terms of trading, but we don't subscribe to the view that we can be bullied. We are subscribing to non-partisanship in the conflict in Russia and Ukraine. We talk even to those who are pro-Ukraine against Russia. We believe that everybody must come around the table and so on. Now, bullying tactics, becoming a world policeman on others, we believe that is imperialism in our political terms, and we don't subscribe to that. We will fight against it because in our own ideology as the ANC, we are an anti-imperialist organization and aggression. You know that certain economies and countries must be bullied economically by the powers that be or the superpowers. We have been fighting that from right our inception, when we fought what we call colonialism of a special time. And that is what we fought against. And then even today in South Africa, the ANC still lead that particular struggle. Our government is engaging with the US, and we will encourage those engagements to continue. But we support our government principal stance around Ukraine-Russia conflict. Samkelo, reinstatement of, I've answered that. The current National Executive Committee does not have any mandate to get out of ICC, nor has it discussed its position on ICC. So, whenever the NEC discusses this matter and arrive at a conclusion, we will be able to make our views known on it. Not that it is a matter that can be discussed. I'm sure it will be reflected upon. ANC's game plan on Putin, again, that matter belongs to government to handle capably so.
Well, guys, it is more clear and more obvious that whether it is the ruling party, the ANC, whether it is the opposition political party, which is the EFF, they both speak the same language. So even if they have to bring up a debate inside parliament, don't be surprised when it comes to this matter. EFF of Julius Malema get to vote together with the ANC because they both speak the same language when it comes to this part. And when you get to listen to Julius Malema, he had to remind people who's Russia to South Africa. And when you get to see the history, you'll tell for yourself that Russia have contributed a lot to what South Africa is today. When you get to listen to the Secretary General of the ANC, Fikile Mbalula, he even went far to explain people that America, the only thing we have in common with them is only the trading. We trade with them. We do some things like, financial stuff. But with Russia, our partnership with them, it is more beyond than that. So you get to understand that these two political parties, there is no way that they'll let go of Putin to be arrested under their nose. And so far, when you get to see to the conflict that's going between Russia and Ukraine, South Africa decided to remain neutral. And that is the ruling party and the government, what they had put in the official way of telling people that we prefer a fair negotiation and not taking side on this. But when you go inside opposition, that they don't even care about what is happening. You guys will get to see every time the EFF have to send their Deputy President Floyd Shivambu to go and represent South Africa Parliament in a different summit. They send him there not for nothing. They're sending him there because they know that under EFF leadership, when it comes to this, I think they can defend our country more properly. And whenever Floyd goes there, he speaks his mind out. You guys even get to sit yesterday in the parliament when he said these words.
Before I deal with the correctness of the motion that has been tabled there, want to deal quickly with what the presiding officer did earlier of welcoming a delegation from the British Parliament, a racist institution that formalized colonialism here in South Africa, an institution that is overseeing British territories that are responsible for tax avoidance, for profit shifting, and illicit financial flows. Majority of Africa and South Africa's resources are being looted under the custodianship and oversight of this racist institution. So the delegation from the British Parliament are not welcome here. They represent a neo-colonial government So they must not leave here thinking that they were unanimously welcomed by the Parliament of South Africa. They're not welcome. And we must tell them that when we take power in 2024, we're going to disengage from that nonsensical Commonwealth Parliament and all these other platforms. Now,
that was very easy way of him passing a strong message to everyone out there, saying that, look, if you can try to cooperate with the ruling party, don't count on us. We are not going to be anyone's puppet. So whatsoever is giving you the power to be involving in our politics, just know that once the EFF in power, all this nonsense will get to finish. So guys, with that being said, what next now? What motivates South Africa to not pay attention to what the ICC is asking for? Because remember, this is the same South Africa that's supposed to arrest Mohamed Bashir, this former president from Sudan, who fled from his country. He had committed some criminal crime there. He came here in South Africa, and the ICC, they were asking South Africa to arrest him. South Africa refused. And when they asked former President Jacob Zuma, he said that the ICC, if they are honest enough, they should start first by arresting some of our American presidents who had committed serious crimes in different countries around the world. And here we're talking about Saddam Hussein, we're talking about Muammar Gaddafi, and so on and so on, many leaders that we get to see Americans leaving their countries, going to those countries, committing the crimes, and walk away free, and no one have nothing to do. Guys, how can you go in someone's country, fight that person from the inside, arrest him, put him inside your airplane, take him to your country, and kill him according to your own law, or should I say according to the way it pleases you? That is how Saddam Hussein was killed, by Americans. Now, I always ask myself this question time to time to know, what would America have to say if it was another country did the same thing? Because now we get to see how they stand against what is happening in Russia, doing all this kind of the campaign to make sure that Russia look a bad person. We're not supporting what is happening over there. But what is happening in Ukraine is not different to what had happened in Iraq, Afghanistan. It's not what is different, it's not different to what is happening currently in DRC. It's not different than what happened in Syria, Libya. So when it is their turn, everything look normal. When it is another country, then it become illegal. Now they had went on after influencing United Nations. They went on to influence also ICC, which, by the way, they are not doing part of it. Excuse me. America never signed to be part of the ICC, International Criminal Court. They never signed because they knew that if they had to sign so, tomorrow they'll have to deliver George Bush and other presidents. Even Barack Obama, as Julius Malema said, he came in Africa to kill the Libyan president Muammar Gaddafi. So they knew already that we want to be powerful, so we're not going to be part of this ICC thing. But today, the same ICC that they had rejected, they are calling for the arrest of Vladimir Putin. On the other side, we get to see Americans getting the courage to welcome this arrest warrant against Putin. Oh, we welcome what the ICC. How can you welcome something that you are not even part of it? All this because it is something that is working in their advantage. It is something that will benefit them in one way or another way. That is the reason why they are behaving in such way. Americans. So whenever they are doing something, it is normal. When it is other country, it become abnormal. You guys, you get to see a day before yesterday, China and Russia, they had enforced again their relationship or their friendship. They signed serious deals of their partnership. America got angry. America feel jealous to see those two powerful nations getting to unite together, especially after all the effort they've been trying. Recently, in the United Nations, we saw Americans trying to impose sanctions against each and every country that continue to support Russia. So seeing China going to sign some good, strong relationship deals with Russia, it's something that Americans, they could not accept. And as we're talking right now, China, they're in the position, they managed actually to bring Russia to the table and Ukraine for negotiation, which China will have to be as a middleman. Now, after Americans, they get to see Chinese with Russia signing those contracts together, they went on and tell the president of Ukraine that we're not going to allow you to go and sit to the table with those two. You're not going to attend any negotiation which China is going to be part of it. Can you try to understand what is that all about? Because these are the same people who used to say that no, Russia, they don't want to negotiate. Now that Russia want to negotiate, they don't want Russia to negotiate with Ukraine anymore, all because China, who's partner to Russia, they are going to be part of that negotiation. So they only want them to be the only people who can negotiate Russia and Ukraine. See how clever these people they think they are. So they've been trying by all means to make sure that each and every country that's supporting Russia, they should turn their backs against Russia, so that Russia will fail whatsoever is going in the conflict that they're having with Ukraine. And come to think of it, guys, each and every time I always ask myself a question. Why NATO, which is represented by Americans, France, British, Germany, they have to leave all the places in the world and go and use Ukraine as a middle battlefield? Because that's what is happening right now. Then I ask myself a question to know, how will it look like if China and Russia, South Africa, Brazil, India, and other countries, they have to go somewhere like in Cuba or Mexico to build the military base there? How will America have to take all this? Will America allow that? So you get to see that we are having a world which is full of hypocrisy. I mean, yes, hypocrites. There are so many of them. They're pretending to preach democracy, yet they're not applying it. Now, the ICC have launched this arrest warrant about the president of Russia. And this warrant, it simply means to say that any country which is part of the ICC, once it welcomes the president of Russia, once it steps the feet in, you are obliged to arrest him and send him to Netherlands, where the ICC office belongs to, or jail belongs to. And now we know that South Africa at the moment, that the one who are leading the BRICS. Therefore, as they always have their meetings time to time, so this year South Africa will hold that summit, and this president, they have to come because COVID-19 is not there anymore. They were doing the video conference or summit because they were COVID-19, as we know that people, they were not allowed to travel. But recently they met, all of them in physical, they met like face to face. So the whole world is expecting the president of Russia, Putin, to be in South Africa as well, among the delegates of this BRICS country that they will be taking place here. So the pressures already started with these international organizations, with these NATO countries, with these Americans. They already start putting pressures already on South Africa, reminding South Africa of what they had signed for. I even regret, I guess President Zuma was right when he said that we should not sign, because South Africa was not part of this ICC country. They did not sign it before. The moment we went on and put ourselves in this mess, look where we are now today. So now, since they have signed for it, if Putin arrives here, he needs to be arrested. Now the question is to know, what will happen if South Africa, they don't deliver Putin? That is another question. Well, obviously, there will be perhaps sanctions, perhaps some disciplinary against us because we refuse to give Vladimir Putin. But there's still time whereby South Africa can do as what Kenya did with Kuri Kenyatta. They call him at ICC. He went there. They find him innocent. He came out. Instead of pursuing them to the court as well, it just looked like, no. Look, from now on, Kenya is not going to be part of this nonsense. As we're talking with you right now, Kenya, they are not part of this ICC what. So I believe, to avoid all this nonsense, I believe for us to avoid breaking up our relationship with Russia, this is the time the parliament, they must sit down and vote of removing South Africa inside this ICC. By the way, this ICC, if you try to find out how many presidents they have arrested, how many criminals that they have arrested, not long ago, African Union, they had a serious talk over this ICC, because they noticed that it is like an open jail which they had created only for African leaders, whereby they will come in Africa, they use you against your own people, they use you to commit crime against your own people, so that them they'll benefit the minerals and promising you that they'll put you in power and they'll supply you with all the necessary tools that you need. You commit crime, they'll use you. Once they're done with you, they send you to the ICC. Yes, Roland Gbagbo from Ivory Coast, he's been there for so many years. It's only recently they released him. Blaise Leblé, still again from Ivory Coast, he has been there. Only recently they released him. Jean-Pierre Bemba from DRC, he's been there also for more than 12 years. They only released him recently. Who else? Thomas, this other guy. Man, there are so many of Africans that whenever you do something, they send you there. But people, we all know that they have committed serious crime against humanity. They never even receive even a single letter to invite them there so that they can give their point of view. George Bush is still alive. Hillary Clinton, she's still alive. These people, they committed crime around the world. But nothing good happened. Do you know why? Because they want to have something to use against black people, against world leaders. So I believe us as a South Africa, if we want to avoid this kind of drama, this is about time we say full sec to this kind of things and try to focus on the important matters. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video until now. I really do appreciate. I believe it was very important I get to discuss with you what the South Africa government and the opposition party they are saying or giving as their point of the view when it comes to this arrest warrant against the Russian president. Don't leave this video without you giving us your thumbs up. We really do appreciate. Love this video. Drop your comment down below. Tell us also what you think about all this scenario that we get to see with Americans around the world. But above all, continue to be yourself, be good, be kind, have respect for everyone in order for you to be respected. May God bless you all. I'll see you again very soon. Ciao, ciao.